Autogeek.net has everything you need to keep your vehicle looking its best. Mothers, Meguiar's, Wolfgang, Diamondite, 3M, Pinnacle, and more. Autogeek.net carries over 60 brands. Autogeek's selection is huge. Our prices are low. Our expert staff can answer any question you have, and we ship right to your door. Autogeek.net. We are car care.
My name is Mike Phillips, and welcome to Autogeek's Thursday Night Live broadcast here in sunny Stuart, Florida at the Autogeek Show Car Garage. Tonight I've got a really special project. It's a 2006 Mustang GT, and I'm going to have the owner come in and just tell us a little bit about it. Brandon, come on in. Brandon's also a member of our forum. What's your forum name?
Red Fire Shaker 06.
There you go. So tell you what, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the car?
It's a 2006. I bought it new from Paradise Ford. And it's never been clayed, garage kept. Okay. Except for it's my daily driver.
Okay. And you remember the Mustang Club, right?
Yep.
Which Mustang Club?
Brevard Mustangs.
So give him a little shout out.
www.brevardmustangs.com.
Okay. So he bought this thing brand new, and you've never clayed it, and we've already inspected it. It does have above surface bonded contaminants. So I'm going to get some of my friends that are pro detailers and enthusiast detailers that already know how to clay. I'm going to get them going on the claying process, and then I'm going to bring in my friend Jay Bunk from Undent, and he's going to pop out a little dent right here while they're doing the claying process. Now here's what we're going to do for this car tonight. We're going to clay it using the Meguiar's medium grade clay from their professional line, and then we're going to use the M105 and the M205 to remove the swirls and scratches. Then we're going to put down a coat of synthetic polymer sealant using the M21, and then over the top of this we're going to do what we call topping. We're going to put a carnauba wax, the M26, over the top of that. So by the time we're done, this thing's going to have a flawless show car finish. And during this process, I got a couple guys here that are new to machine polishing, so I'm going to go over some of the steps and some tips and techniques for using M105 and M205 with the DA polisher. There's also a contest on the forum tonight, so watch and win. And what you're looking for is the secret code, and Yancey's going to have this hidden somewhere in the room here or under the car or over the car someplace. So when you see that, the first person to reply in the thread what the code is going to be a winner. So watch and win. So tell you what, let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to do the claying first. So come on guys. First let me introduce everybody. We got Robert DiTrelisi here. Robert's a professional detailer, works at Impressions Detailing. Hi. And I always like it when he comes down because it cuts my work in half. And we got Tim. Tim, this is your second time down here, and you're just a good friend of Louie, who was on our TV show. And you've got a 57 Chevy, right?
I have several.
Okay. And he has one that he wants to bring down here, so we might see Tim back with his 57 in the near future.
We can only hope.
Okay, then John. John, this is John's first time down here. John has sitting outside a 1965 Mustang GT Fastback that is just phenomenal. It's painted Viper red, beautiful car, but it has a few fine swirls, so we might see his car back. So welcome to the gig. Thanks, here, John. Louie, come on in. Louie brought down his 1986 Porsche 928, right? And it was on our TV show. That's the Porsche with the aluminum V8 in the front of the car that's water-cooled. The one that's an anathema to all the Porsche enthusiasts, and the only one I actually really like because it's got a V8 in the front of the car. So, but he's been down here. He's a regular, so I could trust this guy blindfolded to buff out anything. So welcome down. Okay, and then here comes Jay. Now Jay is going to be working his magic over here. Jay, how you doing?
Good, Mike. Nice to have you.
Okay. Hey, thanks for coming down, by the way. And this was kind of a spontaneous thing where Brandon got this dent before he was going to bring it here, and so we just thought, hey, while we're here, let's just have Jay come down and pull this dent out. Now the dent is right here. It's about the size of a quarter. Kind of looks like a big strong guy took his thumb and just pushed in on it real hard. So it's not real big. But what Jay's going to do is he's going to work his magic, pull this out, and while he's doing it, I'm going to ask a few questions. You ready to go, Jay?
Certainly am.
Okay, so, and tell you what, just for fun, Jay Bunk, what's your phone number in case anybody needs some dent work done?
My phone number for the local area is 877-863-3681.
or 877-UNDENT1 for Martin and St. Lucie counties, Florida.
There you go. And he was recommended to me from my good friend Robert DiTrelisi, and what I always tell people on the forum is Robert's word is as good as gold, so I know I can trust you.
Thanks, Mike. I'll get my tools.
Okay. And how we doing over here, guys? Did anybody feel this besides me? Brandon, you felt it with the baggie test, right? You could feel the little bumps on the paint. Okay, so that's just the sign that, you know, something's on there. And the first thing you want to do is you want to get the contaminants off before you start machine polishing for a number of reasons. One is you don't want to loosen any of those contaminants and get them trapped between the pad and the paint where they could possibly micro-mar the surface. And the other reason is anytime you're using foam pads on tools like the Porter Cable, the Meguiar's G110 V2, or the Griot's Garage 6-inch random orbital polisher, which are all basically what we call a DA polisher. Anytime you're using one of these types of tools with a foam pad, a lot of times they'll just glide over the contaminants. They won't really kick them off like a wool pad on a rotary buffer would do. So what I always say in the forum is the most effective way to remove above surface contaminants is just to go ahead and clay it first, then get with the machine polishing. Come on in, Jay. I'm just over here talking, but we have such a diverse audience out there. You know, some people have been claying for years, and you know, we still run into people that have never clayed before. And one of the most common questions is you know, do you clay if you're going to machine polish? And of course you do. Okay, what are you going to do here first?
Okay.
I see that. What's this yellow board over here?
Well, what this is a vision enhancement tool
Okay.
or a reflection board.
Okay.
And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting this pattern from the board.
Let me get closer to you because I'm mic'd up. That's why I don't want to get closer because I like you. I want to get closer so the audience can hear. Okay, go ahead.
It's a vision enhancement board or a reflection board. And what I'm going to do is put this shadow, the black area, in the dent area, and basically what happens is it becomes like a big magnifying glass.
Okay.
So that this dent that looks like the thumbprint that you spoke about is going to look a lot bigger and a lot more detailed, and I'm going to be able to see where I'm pushing with the dent removal tools.
That's what these are. Look like giant picks of some sort.
Right.
So that, you know, I've watched guys do this before. It's a real craft and a talent. So then how did you get involved with this?
I got trained locally by a guy that was a professional trainer for a large company. I was very fortunate to get trained at a very personal level. Been doing about 10 years.
Okay. So, well, let's get going here. What can I do to help? Anything?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. I love when I don't have to actually do any work. So. Now, the last 2 or 3 years I've went down to and taught some classes at something called Mobile Tech Expo. Do you ever go to that?
Sure.
Okay, and that's basically for PDR guys. And then they just started kind of bringing guys like me in that work on what we call surface enhancement. So.
Sure, I met you there in January actually.
Oh, okay.
At the show in Orlando.
Okay.
It's a very large show.
Yeah, yep.
So basically, paintless dent removal.
I can't stand in front of that camera. Yep.
What happens is I need the vision enhancement in front of me, and then I'm going to slide this big metal rod in underneath the dent, and then I'm going to make about 30 pushes where the dent is to push it back out. The dent's stuck right now because the stress from the panel is keeping the dent in.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do with this big tool is get behind there and relieve that pressure, carefully looking at this vision board, which is like a big magnifying glass. And I'm going to push on it about 30 times. And what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to see the dent anymore.
Wow, that's magic.
We'll see.
Okay, I trust this is going to work. Now, I want to get down here and I want to see what you mean by that. Now I can see. You know, without that yellow board, if I'm just looking at the wall over here, you know, the basic painted wall, it's hard to see it. As soon as I bring that over between the yellow and black line, it just makes it pop out.
That's the best explanation I have is it looks like a big magnifying glass
It does.
on the dent.
It magnifies it, makes it easy to see. Interesting. Well, these are the tricks of the trade, right?
Yep.
Okay. And again, I'm just going to hover here close so we pick everything up with the mic.
Actually, you're in a very good location to see what's going on.
Yep.
I'm going to get this tool in behind this dent area very carefully. And I'm just going to relieve some of the pressure in the dent area to allow it to come out.
Yeah, I see that. I see it's just barely moving.
Yep, little small pushes. We're going to relieve some pressure in the metal. And it wants to return to its original shape that it got stamped in the factory. And I'm going to, now see the dent looks much different already, doesn't it?
Yes, it is. It's flattening out.
Yep.
It's less concave, and now it's halfway gone, I'd say.
Now keep in mind I'm using a 5/8 inch steel rod. So I'm putting a little more pressure on the dent than what it looks like. But it's very precise, exact pressure, exactly where I want it.
Now, I'm just going to take a guess that modern cars tend to be built using thinner sheet metal than, say, cars from the 1970s back in order to save weight, to reduce weight, to improve gas mileage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the whole reason why because if you go look at a 1960s Chevy truck, the sheet metal is really thick and really strong. New cars, you push on them and you can bend them with your hand.
Yes, they dent easily, and they also remove easily. Plus, the new paints are very elastic and very flexible, and that's another important component of today's dent removal, that the paint will hold up when I'm pushing on it.
Yeah, it's a semi-permeable elastic membrane.
Hey, what size are your headlights?
And if it was real brittle, it could possibly chip off.
Well, it could definitely crack. And that's not the goal of our work. Our goal is to maintain the integrity of the vehicle's factory finish.
Exactly. Then you have no spot repair, no blend lines. You keep the original paint, which adds value to the car, especially for resale or if you're trading it in.
Yes, it does.
You know, at this point, I got to tell you, I actually have to look pretty hard. I can see it because I know where it was at.
Right.
But if you were to even stop right now, most people probably, unless you show it to them, they wouldn't know where it was at.
And there's a little more work to do. It'll take me another few minutes to completely finish it. But that's probably 90% of the dent removal.
I'd agree.
I have to make an adjustment with my tool.
Okay. So when Jay got here, Jay noticed we put these things called wheel maskers on. And we do this all the time for the cars we detail to keep splatter off the wheels and tires so we don't got to come back and clean it up later. And the first thing Jay said is, hey, I got to get a set of these because he's always get his arms down inside there and his arms all get the dressing that people have in their tires. And by just putting a wheel mask on there, he could stay clean. And that's important if you're mobile. You want to show up at some customer's doorstep and or place of business, and you still want to look presentable.
Now it should look a little better.
It does. It's incredible. I can just barely see where that thing was.
So that's about, I'm going to take a guess at about 30 pushes so far. Very small, exact pushes. And the stress from the panel, when I let release pressure from the tool, is actually helping to pull the dent out and flatten the metal to its original stamped position from the factory. And notice I haven't done anything on the surface at this point. All my work is underneath the panel, so the original factory finish remains intact.
So behind the scenes.
Do you need your glasses to do that?
Yes, I do.
Hey, you guys seen any gunk coming off? Has anybody got a clay bar they haven't needed? Yeah?
The rest of the car is very, very light.
And it should look a little better now.
To tell you the truth, if I didn't know where to look, I can just barely see a little wave, a little wow to it. Other than that, it looks, you can't see it.
Good.
Good job, Jay. You know, I've never actually seen this done. I've been around a lot of PDR guys all my life, but I'm usually busy buffing out a car or teaching someone how to buff out a car. I've never seen the actual magic happen or listen to the explanation of how you're using the tools.
Okay, Mike, you're all set.
Wow. Hey, that was really nice, Jay. Yancey, is this something you can come in and get a close-up of? You got it all? Okay. Hey, well, hey, if you live in the area, you need someone that's a pro, you just seen it here live, this guy can do a good job, you got no worries. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay. Now you going to stick around and help us buff?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, now I know why you do that kind of work, because it's a lot cleaner, a lot faster. Yep.
It carries compound with it.
Yeah. Hey, now, Robert, as you guys, we still need to clay this up here, though, right?
Yeah,
okay.
You have the hood, you have the trunk.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and finish that up. And since we have Robert here, Robert, being a professional detailer, working, what, 3 days a week?
3? 6?
6 days a week. I was just joking, yeah. You clay every car that comes in, don't you? Just as a good, best practice, you know?
It allows the wax to adhere better to the vehicle. It lasts longer that way.
Okay, yeah, let's.
Car, even garage kept, needs to be.
That's right, and you never know. And you might as well just, if you're gonna buff it out anyway, you might as well just go ahead and clay the car and just knock that any kind of issue there just out of the park and get done and over with.
If it's a show car and it's maintained regularly and garage kept, and all it is a coat of wax, then a wash and a wax will be fine.
Sure.
But most cars aren't garage kept 24/7.
Yeah. The only other time you wouldn't clay a car is if it's one of your past customers.
Right.
But you'd still inspect.
Well, it's 6 months I'll reclay a car.
Okay.
And if I apply wax every month to a car, then no, I won't.
Yeah, so that's just a little insider, some behind the scenes from someone that does this all the time if you're out there thinking about getting into detailing. Okay, so we've got this thing clayed, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some machine compounding. Now, when you get done with that clay, guys, can I get you just to set that? Unless you've dropped it. Let's just go ahead and I'll rinse this off and okay, and then we'll save this for the next project. Okay. Yeah, it looks good. And one of the things I noticed already, okay, car came in looking good, but already the paint looks glossier and the light reflecting off is sharper, more crisp, and that's just because we removed the above surface bond contaminants. That made the surface smoother. Gloss comes from smoothness. Okay, so and also that was the Meguiar's medium grade clay, not the aggressive. This car wasn't bad enough to need something like that. And then we used the final inspection for a clay lube. Okay, so now who do I have here? I have John. You've never used the DA polisher before, correct? Correct. Okay, and Tim, have you done this before? Machine polishing? Yes. Okay, you were here for one of our other. Okay. So tell you what, let's go on up here. Well, these guys are finishing that up. Yancey, is this where you want us? Okay. And actually, I want to have the rest of you guys, when you get done, come on up here because I'm going to go over how to prime a pad and why it's important. Hey Yancey, before we get started here, how about we do the paint thickness?
I'm already set.
You're already set? Okay, well that's good. Well, we'll do that next though, okay? Remind me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over some tips and techniques for using what's called a DA polisher just generically. In this case, we're using the Meguiar's G110 V2. This is a random orbital dual action polisher. And what's cool about this is it has what's a free spinning drive mechanism. And you can see I'm just spinning this. There's no direct gear mechanism that rotates this pad. And if I turn this on, let me turn the speed down a little bit. It's on the 3. I can actually hold that in my hand, okay? It's very, very safe. See that? You can take and shove this down as hard as you want, and it's not going to hurt your skin, and for that reason it's also not going to burn the paint, and if you use it correctly it's not going to put swirls in either. Now this is one of our test hoods that we use down here when we're testing products. I have these all painted by a local guy that uses a PPG base coat clear coat paint system, and the paint is actually, I'd say, medium to soft, and what that's good for me is if I want to test a product I can really get a good idea of how it's working by how it's reacting on this type of paint. So anyway, well, I use this for these classes to show guys that never use this tool how to use it. Hey guys, when you get a chance, I want you to come up. There's a refresher course. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to use what's called a Lake Country light cutting orange pad. Okay, now these are 7/8 thick, 5.5 inches in diameter, and they offer some fairly aggressive cutting action just by themselves, but they're not overly aggressive. But they're going to be using the abrasives from the M105 together to remove the swirls and scratches out of the Mustang. The first thing you want to do when you go to use this is you want to take and you want to center this up on your backing plate, just like that. See how I did that? It's nice and centered up. Now, could I get someone to reach into the top drawer, and there's a black marker in there somewhere. See a permanent Sharpie in there? Okay, the next thing you want to do if you're machine polishing with a DA polisher and you got a brand new backing plate, you want to take and you want to put a black mark here. And the reason you want to do this is so you can easily see this with your eyes if it's rotating. Now, because these things use what's called a free-floating spindle bearing assembly, if you hold this crooked while you're buffing, or if you're on a raised body line or a curve, it's possible for this thing to stop spinning completely. And it's important if you're removing swirls that you keep it rotating and oscillating, and having that black mark is going to enable your eyes to see that as you're buffing. So brand new out of the package, go ahead and mark your backing plate, just like I did that. Okay, the next thing we want to do is called priming your pad. Now this is a friend of mine, Kevin Brown, came up with this, and it's just genius. I know I worked for Meguiar's for years, and we always just taught putting an X pattern or circle on, and that works fine. But what Kevin did is he says, hey, let's completely coat the entire face of the pad and push the abrasives into the pores, and so when you turn the polisher on, 100% of that pad is going to work for you. Plus, there's other little benefits. By filling the pores with the actual abrasives, which are hard and don't absorb, you're going to keep product from saturating into the pad as fast as it normally would. So you're going to help to avoid that pad saturation, get 100% use out of the pad. First thing you want to do is always shake any product that's been standing. So this has been on a shelf out there, so give it a really good shake. This is a fairly thick compound. Now this is actually a body shop tool. A lot of times you can tell it's a body shop tool because it's in the tan bottle with the numbers, and it's primarily meant to be used with the rotary buffer. Its original intent and design is for use with the rotary buffer. Now a lot of guys say they have problems with it flashing or drying or evaporating too quickly, and then becoming gummy on the surface, and also dusting. And I know one of the things Jason Rose always says is his first thing he does is he reminds everybody this product is meant primarily to be used with the rotary buffer. If they go in and start tweaking the formula to make it work better with the DA, they're going to lose some of those characteristics they put into it for use of the rotary buffer. It's primarily designed to go into body shops for guys to use with the rotary buffer after they sand the car down, use this product to remove the sanding marks, and get it all the way polished up to about 90% where they want it. So it's a phenomenal compound. But there are some characteristics, and I'm going to go over some tips for getting some better action or better buffing cycle and less dusting with it. But just first thing I just wanted to point out, this is a universal compound. It's meant to be used in multiple geographical locations and climatic conditions, and they've done lots of extensive testing on it, and at this point I don't believe I've heard anything that they're going to ever tweak the formula because it works so good as it does now when it's used for a rotary buffer in a body shop. And again, that's its primary function. We out here in the detailing world like it because it works so good with the DA or by hand. And one of the cool things about this, I kind of mentioned, I'll touch on it again, is this was designed to remove 1,200 grit sanding marks on fresh paint in a body shop situation, and then polish out so it looks like you just waxed the car. I mean, you can get paint looking really good with a compound. Now, historically, how would paint look like if you compounded it? Dull. It looks scoured, okay, because the abrasives would remove the sanding marks in a body shop, but it'd look all hazy, full of swirls, and basically scoured. And so this thing kind of changed the whole industry when they brought this out because it leaves such a nice looking finish no matter how you apply, by hand, DA, or at the rotary. Okay, so now as you can see how I did that? I just took my finger and I just worked the abrasives into the pad so it's completely coated across this entire front surface of the pad. The next thing I want to do is I'm just going to put some, what I always call the working product, because this is a prime pad, this is the product I'm going to be working. And to do this, I'm just going to put 3 small drops of product right there onto the pad, just like that. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put it right here and show you how to actually use the polisher itself. Now, a couple tips for using this. One, first, always cord over shoulder. 2, don't turn this on until it's in contact with the paint. Every time we have one of these classes, one of the new guys will do this, and it's okay, we expect it, because everybody makes a mistake one time. But what happens is you get this thing just spinning along, and someone will lift this off while it's still running and throw splatter everywhere. You'll have to stop, come wipe the splatter off of everything. and then you can get back to work. So just remember, don't lift the pad off the surface until you've turned the polisher off and the pad is slowed down. The next thing you want to do is you only want to work a section. Now most directions say 2 feet by 2 feet, but really you don't want to work that big of a section. You want to get it down about 20 inches, 16 inches. Here, just stay right here by me, Tim, and hold that so the cord stays on my shoulder. Most microfiber towels are 16 inches square. So if you lay that down on a paint panel, that's too small to buff out. But a 2 foot by 2 foot section is usually too big, so a little bit bigger than what a microfiber towel would be on the paint panel. That's what I use kind of as a teaching guide. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to turn the OPMs, the speed setting on this, up to like the 5 or the 6 setting. Now most detailers, they think like this: if a little's good, more is better. Now that's true with my bank account and my gas tank, but when it comes to working with M105, sometimes higher speed isn't better because you're going to generate more heat and it's going to cause it to flash. So it's the abrasives that you want working against the paint without the heat, if at all you can do that. Now I've got the air conditioning set down to 74 degrees in here, so of course we're working in a lot cooler environment than most of the people out there detailing cars in the real world. So we have that working for us. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you got 2 ways to do this. Now I've always taught guys to place this down, turn it on, spread the product out to the area they're going to work, and that kind of gives you a map of the area you're going to work. But some people actually like to just go ahead and put it down and then just start making your overlapping passes. And there's some reasons for that. One is this uses SMAT technology. That means super micro abrasive technology. The abrasives don't break down. Historically, a lot of the really high quality polishes out there use diminishing abrasives, okay? And the way they work is they start out aggressive, and as you continue to work them, the abrasives break down, get smaller, smaller, they pulverize into nothingness. And the reason I would show guys to spread the product out over the entire surface is so you'd have a layer of diminishing abrasives out over the entire surface. Otherwise, if you start at one spot and just start buffing, you could theoretically have broken them all the way down by the time you get to the other side of where you're going to buff. But with this product, because they don't break down, you can just start out and just buff in one section. And the other thing I wanted to show is you want to make overlapping passes by 50%, and you want to have what's called a slow arm speed. So a common mistake guys do is they hear that motor just a spinning, and they get their arm just going real fast too. And you want to go real slow. You want to give the combination of the foam, the abrasives, the downward pressure, the rotating and oscillating action a chance to affect the paint. And by that I mean remove small particles of the paint. And that's how you take swirls and scratches out. That would look like this. Okay, now I'm going to push down here a little bit. So watch, I'm going to keep that pad rotating. I'm going to overlap by 50%. I'm going to change direction. So see how slow I'm moving the tool itself? Go back to my first direction, and again I want to just keep a nice slow arm movement. Now I want you to notice I took the handle off this, and that's so you can put your hand right on the head where you can push down and keep that pad flat to the surface. I'm moving this at about 1 inch a second over the table here, this hood panel. Okay, notice I let the pad stop spinning before I lift it off. Come down here, and while this is still wet, while you still have a wet film, you want to come down here and wipe this off. And you're always using that wet film because it is a liquid at some level as your lubricant while you're wiping off. That helps you to prevent from putting marring into the paint when you're wiping. Okay, so that's how you use this tool. Now at this point here, what we have on the face of this pad is, because this is an aggressive compound, we are abrading the clear coat. The clear coat is clear, so we can't see it, but there is clear paint on here, plus there's spent product residue, like the carrying agent. The abrasives might not break down, but they're embodied in a lot of other ingredients and they become spent. So if you could hand me a terry cloth towel back there, right behind you. This is a clean terry cloth hand towel, and this is how you clean your pad on the fly. Okay, I'm grabbing this towel just like this, put my hand on it, flip it over. I'm just going to shove this into the pad. I'm going to turn it on, and then on the other side I'm just taking and I'm doing whatever I can to work my hand over this pad. And what I'm trying to do is just get most of the product that's built up here, the spent product, the removed paint, onto the towel, so I can put some fresh product on it and get back to work. And that's the entire thing, the entire meaning behind cleaning your pad on the fly, because it always takes a long time. If you're a detailer to buff out a car, it takes a long time. You want to find a way to clean your pad and get back to work. You don't want a way to clean your pad that's going to take 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes you're not on the car. So that would look like this. Okay, look at that. It's virtually clean. And so it's clean, and at this point you have two options. If you want to be really detailed about your work, you would go ahead and reprime that pad again. Okay, completely coat this, work that product in, have a nice thin uniform layer of the abrasives over the entire face of the pad. Once it's primed, put your 3 little drops of product back on there, and then move on to the next section. A lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll just clean the pad and they'll just put their working product, the 3 drops of product, back on there. Whichever way works best for you. I just want to point out 2 different ways to do that. Okay, you guys ready to get to work? Okay, let's do it.
If we must. Use that funny looking machine?
Robert, you're always the funny one, aren't you? Okay, tell you what, I want to have you come on up here. You want to, just for fun, take your phone off so we don't got to worry about that scratching Brandon's paint. If this was Louie's car, I wouldn't care. But I like Brandon. He's never done nothing wrong. Okay, so first thing, cord over shoulder. And tell you what, remember we talked about the size of area to work, John?
Yeah.
Let me grab a microfiber towel here. And if we look at this Mustang, okay, here's a section out here. We got these water squirters here for the windshield. You got to just kind of work around there. I've taped them off and taped the trim off here. But just because you're learning, what I want you to do is just imagine this area from the end of this squirter to the end of the line here where the hood scoop is there, and up to this body line. So tackle that big of an area. Okay. You know, I think you've got it. John has used a rotary buffer all his life, so he's got a lot of buffing experience. This is just the first time he's used this type of tool. But if you've got rotary buffer experience, it's a cinch to pick up a DA polisher. And you're moving your arm sleeves nice and slow, so that's perfect. Now, one of the things you always want to see when you're buffing is a wet film of product behind you. And I would say that because we clean that pad so well, we need just a little bit more product on the pad there. So tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and just put another drop on here. Okay, there you go. Put it right back on top of there, and then go. See that little drop there? When you come up to it, keep the pad in contact, but tilt it, grab it, then lay it back down flat, and that way you don't throw a splatter everywhere. Okay, you look like you got that, so I'm going to let you go. Yancey, I was going to show this, and we just got so into buffing, but if everybody can hear this, this is a Del Fesco paint thickness gauge. Now, this Mustang has factory paint except for the hood, and it's been repainted, and I can show you real quickly how you can tell with the paint thickness gauge. First of all, out of the box, you don't need to calibrate these, and there's nothing to turn on. You just take it out of its holder, hold it with the little serrated grooves here so you've got a nice firm grip on it. Come down and just place it flat on the paint. And if I pull that up, that measures 11 mils. Now I'm gonna measure a couple more places. 11.5. Let's come back up here. 11.3. So this is fairly uniform in its thickness over the rest of the hood. I've actually already measured the other side, and it's in the 11 range also. Now if I come right down here to the fender and measure it, 7.6, 7.7, 7.6. So there's a difference of about 4 mils between the paint on the fender and the paint on the hood, and that's just to show you that this is factory paint. Factory paint usually runs somewhere in the 6 to 8 mil range for at least American domestic autos, and this is in the 11 to 12 range. So this has been repainted, and that just means there could be more primer on there, there could be more base coat, there could be more clear on there. And so this is just a good way to tell if a panel's been repainted, and also it's what I call a big picture indicator to let you know how much paint is actually on the car. And this is important if you're going to be doing a lot of heavy compounding or if you're going to get into wet sanding, because you have to have enough film build to work with, or you could do what we call a whoops. And that's if you're buffing on a clear coated car that's red and you turn your pad over, you shouldn't see red. If you do, that's a whoops. Now a couple other things while I have this out. If you want to calibrate it, all you got to do is just, after you've taken a measurement, so it's on, let me get a measurement there. Okay, 11.4. There's 2 buttons on the side. Press them in at the same time 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And it'll go through its own self-calibration and self-calibrate itself. Now it's ready to go. Now this has a flippable screen. And what's handy about that is up here on the hood, I kind of like reading it like here, but if I come over here to the fender, if I just hit one button one time, it flips the screen, makes it easy for me to read. So let me just show you that. See that? It flips the way the screen reads. So it just makes it easier if you're walking around a car measuring film build thickness to flip the screen. You can also take and you can go from mils to microns. Now, everybody has what they're used to. I'm used to thinking of paint in terms of mils. That's what I'm comfortable with. I notice a lot of my friends across the pond like to think of paint in terms of microns. So to do that, you just take and hold the buttons in, and in a few seconds it'll flip over to microns. There we go, if you can zoom in on that. Now it's reading in microns. And I'll take a measurement on the hood here to show you the difference. Okay, so now we've got 294 microns. 289, 294. And if I come back over here to the fender, now we're at 191. So we're getting the same kind of measurements, it's just reading in a different unit of measurement. Anyway, that's the Del Fesco paint thickness gauge. You can get that on Autogeek.net. Look at the cord. That's okay, that's my job. But that's normal. And this looks good. This looks good. Now, one thing else I want to talk to you about, and I didn't want to throw too much at one time, is what we call a section pass. So when you buffed out this section once, then you did it a second time, that would be 2 times. You go over it, there's 3 section passes, 4 section passes, and so on and so on. Usually when you're removing swirls and scratches out of a hard clear coat like Mustangs are known for, you're going to make 6 to 8 section passes for each section. And you can usually tell by, after you're done, wipe off and then inspect, and if you see the swirls and scratches are gone, you know you're ready to move to the next step. And that's a Brinkmann swirl finder light, really handy for that. And I'm going to show you a little technique I use if I'm ever on a TV show and I lift the pad off the surface so I don't leave a white spot like that.
Show me that trick, Dad.
I'm going to show it to you right now. Put it back on there and just be buffing along. Now if I wanted to leave no spot, I would turn it off, and before I wiped it, I would go like that. See, the spot's gone. There you go. Little techniques you learn in the TV world. How are we doing over here, Tim? Good. Now one thing I've noticed, I'm just going to give you a little constructive criticism. Slow your arm speed down. There you go. Just a little slower is all. It's real easy to get that thing just as dinging, because we hear that motor spinning, you know. But you want to give the abrasives time to cut the paint. They're actually taking little bites out of the paint, is what they're doing. That looks good. Brandon, how are we doing back here? Okay. What have you buffed out back here so far? The wing. How about back in here? Okay, why don't you show me your technique, and let me just see if I see if you're doing everything right. Have you cleaned your pad yet? No. Let's clean your pad. Look, magically I got more terry cloth towels all around the room. Why don't you face the camera? And there you go. Nope, turn it on. Yeah, turn it on, and then just kind of run your hand across there. And it's okay if the towel slides around there, because you're trying to peel that gunk off of there. Just like that. You can let it rotate, squish it with your hand. Beautiful. It doesn't take too long. Now one thing I want to show you back over here is when you got a wing like this, you want to be careful that you never run the backing plate or the housing into that. A lot of guys will wrap these with painter's tape or put some foam rubber around it. Okay. Yeah, so you just want to be knowledgeable of that so you don't mar the edge here is all. Okay, so go ahead and grab your product.
That wasn't a clean spot. That must be just stained?
Oh yeah, these have been used hundreds of times out here. We just wash them. Yeah.
I know you have.
I actually, you know, before we started,
took it out of the cleaner.
Before we started, I came out here, I folded all these microfiber towels, I inspected them, and I used my friend Robert DiTrelizzi's little technique.
Your face?
And yeah, well, I didn't use my face, but you could. But I laid it out flat, and I inspected it visually with my eyes, and if I saw anything that didn't look like it was soft and gentle, I pulled it off, then I ran my hand over it. And if I felt anything, then I inspected closer, and on a couple of these, I actually took a pair of scissors and went in and got something that was stuck into the fibers I couldn't pull out. Then I folded them carefully and stuck them over there for you guys to use. But it doesn't make any sense to go and polish out a car and create a swirl-free finish and then come back and be wiping and putting scratches in. Okay, let's see your technique here. That looks pretty good. One thing I'd say is you're running that pad over the edge. It's a good best practice to not buff on the edge. So, but nice slow arm speed. The pad's rotating. Bring your pressure up just a little bit. Get a little more. There you go. A little more rotating speed. There you go. You want to see it rotating at a fairly quick flip. Beautiful, man. How are we doing over here, Louie?
You gotta work to get this off.
That's one of the complaints, is sometimes it's kind of hard to get off. You know what I always do is just either mist on a little bit of final inspection.
Spritz on the rag, it comes right off.
Yeah, and another thing you can do is if it's really bad, is just take and hit it real quick with some fresh product, and then instead of working the product in, what you're doing is you're using the product to remove itself. Like dissolves like is what that's called. Okay, so I'm going to actually get out the rotary buffer and do a little bit of what I call surgical buffing.
We're kind of moist and stuff. Alright, so all these little things.
One thing also is make sure, try to keep it folded 4 ways. And here's a little tip, guys. This is a real, everybody just real quickly, let me just share this with you. Anytime you're working with the product, if it appears to be hard to wipe off, keep your towel folded 4 ways and take little tiny swipes, okay? If you're taking big swipes, it's really hard for your towel to overcome the grip the product has of the paint. If you take little bites, little overlapping circular bites, you usually can get anything off. So, and a lot of times when I'm doing a car like this, I don't try to get every little bit of the product off, because we're going to come back and hit this with M205, which wipes off incredibly easy. It will loosen any residual 105 off and take it off at one time. Okay. that gonna be okay for you? This is a Flex PE14, and what I have on here is it's an adapter. Technically it's called an adapter because it lets you use a double-sided wool pad on a rotary buffer, because normally if you put a double-sided rotary buffer on the original spindle, the threads would stick out and you would grind them into the paint. So I don't think I can get this off because it's probably too tight. Yeah, here, let me show what I mean. There, see, if you use a double-sided pad, part of this would stick out and you grind that in the paint. The adapter has half that many threads, so it'll fit into the double-sided wool pad, and there will be no threads poking out their side that grind in the paint. Well, I don't use it as an adapter, I use it as an extension, and then I put on one of these really nifty little 3-inch flexible backing plates. And then I got a little 3-inch cyan foam cutting pad on here. And that's going to enable me to get into little thin small areas. And by having this really far from the body of the rotary buffer, this is out of my way so I can see what's going on with the pad. And I call this surgical buffing. Now I've got this locked on the 1 setting, that's 600 RPM, nice and slow. Come down here and do what's called picking my bead up at the 10 at 10 technique. After I picked it up, then I'm just going to bring the speed up, and I'm just going to work this panel. And anytime you're using a rotary buffer, you can generate a lot of heat really fast. And one of the things I like to do is called my fight or flight technique of checking surface temperature with my hand. If I put my hand on there, it's warm. If I put my hand on there and my hand said, ouch, and I moved it quickly, that's too hot. So that's a real safe way to check to see if you're buffing too hot. You should always be able to put your hand on the paint and hold a normal conversation. If you can't, then get away from that panel, let it cool down before you come back and do any more buffing. Okay, so the tent, Louis, have you got into here at all?
Yes.
You have? Okay.
All this up to right there.
That's about right where I stopped. I'll touch up a little bit more.
I got this whole half of the roof done, Mike.
Okay. Okay, I finished the top of that rail there. Just real quick, I've been cleaning your pad? Okay, good man. I just was over here, I didn't want to make sure. So how you liking the DA polisher?
That's nice. Easy to hold on to.
A lot easier than a rotary buffer, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now, this is the tool I was telling you about we would use on your 65 Mustang to take those swirls out.
Okay.
And the way this works is a rotary buffer spins in a single direction, and a lot of times if you're not using the right pad, the right product, or not good technique, it'll impart its own swirl into the paint. A lot of times people call these holograms. They can look like they shimmer in the paint. Now when you switch over to a tool like this, it's rotating, but it's oscillating at the same time. And so it doesn't impart that same type of swirl pattern in that a rotary does. In fact, you can use one of these to take the swirls out because you're doing what I always call changing the action of the tool. Looking good though, John. Okay, I'm going to pick up my bead. Instead of using 10 at 10, I'm going to pick it up at the 4 at 10. And what you do is after you go past your strip or your bead of product, is lay that pad down flat and you don't throw splatter everywhere. So John, I know you're used to using a rotary buffer. Have you ever seen one that weighs 5 pounds before?
They usually about 15 or 20.
Yeah, I cut my teeth on an old Makita, but I've also used the old Milwaukees and Sues. And yeah, a day of buffing one of those to build your arms up, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was using, Milwaukee.
Well, this is what we call a lightweight compact. And then over there I've got a DeWalt, which is a full size, and they're both good. It's nice to have both of them. This one's just really nice to have for, like I'm doing here, getting into these thin, long panels. Of course, it's easy to control the tool itself. And whoops. Yeah, that's the thing about 105 is it actually looks pretty good. But we're going to do the 205 anyway. Yancy, can you come in and get this?
You think it looks good now?
Yeah. This is what's nice about the surgical buffing technique. Getting a small pad on an adapter is I'm just going to get in here real close to this water squirter. And it's so easy to do. I'm actually just using one hand. And this is probably a little bit more than the weight of the polisher there. Go in there and get rid of all the swirls around that. Now we'll come back and tackle the major panel with the larger polishing head. But just to get in there and get rid of those swirls right there, I'm going to use a little 3-inch pad. Here's the way you can clean a foam pad on a rotary buffer with a terry cloth towel. What I'm doing is I'm coming to the edge of the terry cloth and I'm going to wrap my finger around this, just like this. Okay, I'm going to hold this down here to my side, turn this on. Lock that in place. Then I'm just going to take and bring this in, and you don't just hold it, you actually turn your finger as you're pressing down. That way you're putting all that product on more than just one place of the towel, but that'll look like this. Anyway, that's how I clean a foam pad. If I'm just got a terry cloth towel, I use a nylon brush too. Yeah, it takes a couple times. Okay. Let's see, what else I want to get here. I want to get this fender lip. I'll finish out this top of this fender line here. Looking good there, John. Hey, Louie, could you hand me that?
Of course, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
Nope. I didn't do the door. I just did the frame around it. Yeah, and the A-pillar.
Middle of the deck lid in the back, the Sirius antenna used to sit there, and it's got these little tiny bells.
Yeah. I'll go look at it. Yeah.
Coming up beautiful.
Pretty color, huh?
Reminds me of Reddy's car. Reddy, you heard that?
Yeah, I talked to him over the weekend. Yeah, and his wife's about to have her baby. Yeah, we talked about the baby oil thing. I don't want to go off Meguiar's message. And Jason Rose says it can actually cause paint swelling. And yeah, what I've been doing is as soon as I'm done buffing, wipe it off. Hey, Robert, where was that at? Oh, right there. Is it in the center there?
Yeah.
I gotta get this.
Okay.
I went across too far.
Sorry for bad luck.
So we got all the compound up here. You got some right there? Oh, okay.
That's impossible. Look.
I used the machine. That's impossible. Hey, I can get a view like this at home,
The
you
only
know.
thing I'm not doing is because I don't know that well right now. I'm your day. So if you don't mind doing that, you go places. Circle? Mike, he's fallen a few times.
Yeah, some of these, I think I smoothed out some of the shallow ones, but some of the deeper ones, I think I'd learn to live with them.
As long as you cut the edge down a little, then you guys notice it.
It's a lot better than it was. I don't want to see red paint on my pad.
I don't know. Where are we at on the other side of the car?
John's on the door.
Down the door.
John's on the door.
And how we doing on the A-pillar over here in the mirror?
Mike, you did the top of this thing?
I did the top of it,
Not the bottom.
not the bottom.
Okay,
I'm just sitting all the thin body panel lines.
Okay, I got the bottom.
This is how old men detail in a chair.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's coming out good. Could you hand me one of those orange nylon brushes? Yeah, get the up on the hang on the hook. Yeah, that one right there. No, that one. I want that one. That one. Yeah, and see that thermostat, the thermometer gun there? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the temperature of the paint. This is a micro temp laser thermometer. It's a laser gun for checking out the temperature of the paint. And I have the air conditioning set at I think 74, 75 in here. And I'm getting ready to buff out this panel down here. And if I come down here and just measure the paint itself, we have 75 degrees. Is that working? Okay, 75 degrees. Now, you don't ever want to heat paint up too hot. That's when you're going to start causing some damage to the paint itself, to the integrity of the paint. So, anytime you can buff cool, that's better than buffing hot. A lot of times in the old days, guys would always say, hey, you need the heat to break down the abrasives. So that's actually not true. It takes pressure over time to break down the abrasives. Heat is an unwanted and unnecessary byproduct. So the idea is to buff cool. Now a good range is if you can stay between 100 and if you can stay below 140, that's best of all. But I think from what I've talked to a couple of my friends in the industry, you want to try to avoid getting up to temperatures past 160 and definitely past 180. You don't want to get to those temperatures. If you get that paint that hot, then you want to stop buffing out that area, let the paint cool down. So I'm just going to come up here and buff a few sections right up here using my 3-inch pad. Then I'll come back and we'll do another temperature check.
I'll do it while you're doing it.
There you go. So we started out at 75 degrees. Let's see, that's 3 passes, 4 passes, 5 passes. There's 6 passes over that section. There's 8. Notice how I'm keeping this rotary buffer moving too. This is a urethane cover, and it doesn't dissipate heat as well as sheet metal. And if you get an area too hot, you can do what we call twisting the paint. And that's where you get it almost to the point where it's melting, but it doesn't melt, but it twists with the pad. And once you do that, rarely can you undo the damage. Okay, can you check the temperature there? Any difference?
95.3.
So Yancey says 95.3. So using a rotary buffer, you are going to start generating some heat, but you know what? To my hand, that just feels warm. So we're not in any kind of danger zone. But again, you start getting up to 140 degrees on the surface, stop and let that portion of the panel cool down, buff in another area.
The area where you're busting it in was, now it's at 90.
And then here's another way to clean a foam pad on a rotary buffer. This is with a pad conditioning brush. And again, you just want to take the brush. I always lock the buffer against my knee to stabilize it. And then just run that across the pad there. Get the sides really good. And you're just trying to kick off any of the, again, you got spent product and you got paint you're actually taking off the car. You want to get that off before you go down and buff some fresh product like I have over here. What's that, sir?
How much difference would a DA put out to produce heat?
Well, a DA is still going to generate some heat, but not like a rotary. The rotary generates so much because it's just that direct drive. But if you stay in one place long enough, you can generate heat, but never to the point where it's usually going to be an issue. The only time it would be an issue is if it would have been an issue if you were working by hand. I mean, something's wrong with the paint to start with. If you notice, I'm actually buffing a larger section than I did a second ago. And what that does is it keeps your temperature down. Because now I made a pass through here. This is cooling off while I'm buffing down here. So the key thing to remember, if you're ever working in a small area, you're going to raise that temperature up really fast. So you'll want to be cautious of that, be knowledgeable of it. So I always say on the forum, focus on the task at hand. What's nice about this 3-inch pad is I can actually get really close to that plastic trim in the grill there. And because I've got that extension on, the headlight bezel extends out past it, and because this is tapered, I'm actually able to get really close to the paint and the trim, and the whole time I can see what I'm doing and where my pad's at, because the body of the buffer's not in the way. So yeah, if you do a lot of rotary buffer work, then definitely it's handy to have the extension. Use it as an adapter and get yourself some smaller pads and backing plates. Let me go ahead and clean this real good. Okay, so there were a lot of little scratches up here, and I got all of them, but this one, which is more of a gouge, and a fairly deep one right there. And unless you know where to look, you don't see them. How are we doing, guys? We just about got this all buffed with the 105. Okay. Let's go ahead, when you get done with all the 105 steps, let's put the orange pads back there in the dirty towel bin, and let's switch over to the white polishing pads and get the M205 ready to go. This is just something most guys don't do, is clean their pads often enough, you know. But you'll find the residue always wipes off easier if you remove the spent residue before working with fresh product. What's your towel there, buddy? Put right in there.
Could you polish my teeth for that?
Probably could. Okay. Yes, sir.
Can 105 be used with microfiber pads and glue pads too?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of guys use microfiber pads for more cut. And yeah, so the question was, can 105 be used with microfiber pads and wool pads? And the answer is yes. Yes, it can be. And a lot of detailers like to use the 105 with a microfiber pad for the extra cutting power because you're using fiber over foam, and definitely with a wool pad on a rotary buffer. So I remember when 105 first came out, I was still working at Meguiar's when it first came out. In fact, I was there when 86 came out, 105, 205, a lot of really cool products. And I had a job buffing out 5 Mustangs for a car show, and 2 of them I wet sand, cut, and buff, and I used 105. It just came out, so I used 105 to pull all my sanding marks out. And compared to the compounds we were using back then, it was amazing how well you could finish out. Because if you use 105 properly, I mean, look at this. It looks like you used a polish. And so that's what really was the game changer, was normally when you use a compound, a traditional compound, sure, you remove the defects, but you leave the finish looking scoured and hazy because the abrasives impart their own scratches. So what M105 did is it changed all that, because by the time you finished, if you finish out just right with the right pad and good technique, it looks like you polished it. So then what we're going to use next is 205, and what 205 is, it's the companion product to M105. And so while M105 does look amazing, it's still a compound. So we want to follow that up with a less aggressive product, and that's what the M205 is. And on the forum they call it the Meguiar's Twins or the Dynamic Duo, but it's actually a system approach for body shops, and a lot of pro detailers like to use it. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to the white pads, guys.
We're de-dusting the car.
Dusting is
105.
Get the dust off.
Final inspection. We're misting on our microfibers and taking the dust off.
Spoken like a true seasoned professional.
It's all in the details.
Yeah, you know what I think is going to be cool is this is John's first time for using a DA, and if you notice, I've kind of had him purposely up here on the hood just to show you how easy this is, and even someone that's never done this before can get show car professional results their first time.
It sure looks like he's got good results on this hood.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Only from Autogeek.net.
Hey, now that's just pure marketing back there.
Yes, yes it is.
Okay. Okay, I feel these pads. By the way, John has done a phenomenal job of cleaning his pad on the fly, and I saw Louis back here doing it and everybody else. And as that happens, your towels get dirty, so we're going to swap these out and put them in the dirty towel bin. But the other thing is... Oh yeah, there you go. But the other thing is when you're using M205, you don't have to clean your pad as much because you're not going to polish as much. That's funny. It's the first step where you're removing all the swirls and scratches. That's the meat of any detailing job. That's where the most work is going to be. A lot of times up on the forum, guys will come up that are new to this and they'll say, hey, I've got all this stuff. How long does it take to buff out the average size car? Well, if you don't include washing it, okay, so it's washed and dried and like we had it here, taped off, ready to go. If your car is completely filled full of swirls and scratches and you're going to use a DA polisher like we're using here, from start to end, it's going to take you about 8 hours. And that's if you're good at it. You're not goofing off, you know, not going for a Pepsi break every 20 minutes and being gone for 20 minutes. That means getting in there and keeping that polisher buffing on the paint. And maybe 6 hours if you're really good, but about 8 hours. Okay, of that amount of time, 4 or 5 of it is the first step, removing the swirls and scratches. And here's the thing, you can't go faster by moving the buffer faster, because then the pad's just skimming over the surface. It's not doing anything. You'll wipe it off and the swirls are still going to be there. It's key to have what we call a slow arm speed. You're going to move that polisher slowly over the surface, and again allow the combination of the foam or whatever the pad is, the material, the abrasives, and the action. That's the dual action and the rotating action, and then pressure. It's all these things come together to abrade the paint, to remove the defects, but do it in a way that the paint still looks good when you're done. See, so you're always working what I call forward in the process. You don't want to work backwards. Working backwards would be using a product that removed the defects but left its own defects. Now you're fighting yourself. You're going backwards in the process. Everything you do should always be taking you closer and closer and closer to the goal. The goal is a show car finish. At least it's a show car finish for us down here. Everybody can determine what they want to do. In my how-to book, by the way, I actually covered that. I covered after you inspect the paint, the next thing you want to do is kind of evaluate yourself. You know where the paint's at. Now, what do you want? Do you want just a good daily driver finish, or do you want a show car finish? Because your goal will determine what products, how many procedures you do to the paint. If you just want to get it looking pretty good, use a one-step cleaner wax. If you want a flawless show car finish, you're usually going to do at least 2 machine correction steps. What I call the major correction step, and then the minor correction or the polishing step before you get to where you're putting on a sealant, a wax, or a coating. You know, and again, that's like 6 to 8 hours if you're by yourself on one car. So there you go. Okay, hey, we got all the tools switched over. Okay, next we're going to use the 205. So I've got 2 quarts of it over here. Okay, so let's get the 105 out of the picture here so we don't accidentally start using it again.
Michael, we put 105 in these squeeze bottles, so
Yeah.
we had enough bottles.
I saw that. Thank you. What's that?
Do you want them marked?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Permanent pin up here somewhere.
Nobody grabs it and thinks it's 205.
Or thinks it's
I'll take them on, make sure they're
Slurpee. Okay. But I'm actually ready for a different pad on the rotary here too. So. Okay, so when you guys ready? What you can't see in the background is everybody's over there eating pizza, except for me. I'm over here working hard. Okay, I'm going to switch over to actually a Meguiar's polishing pad. This is their 4-inch pad, and it's going to fit right here on this flexible backing plate for doing some of that surgical work. M205, M205. Okay, so guys, the same basic idea. Prime your pad if it's a brand new start now. Make overlapping passes, and just keep in mind, I want to stress this because last week we had a guy down here who was new to machine polishing, and he was making the same amount of passes with the polishing step as he did the cutting step, the correction step. You don't need to. All we're trying to do is, first of all, I don't really see any haze, but this is the goal of this product. If there's any haze left in the paint from the aggressive step, you come back and you remove it with a less aggressive pad, a less aggressive polish. And you also maximize clarity, maximize gloss. So now we're just really going to max at the gloss and clarity of the clear coat, and that enables our eyes to see the beautiful metallic red paint that's under the clear. Actually had a guy up on the forum today, this is interesting, and he's working on a Mystic paint finish, which is a Ford color changing paint. Goes from like purple to green, and he asked, the question was which polishes and waxes would work best for that paint, and I went up and I replied to his thread and said, well, technically he's not working on green or purple color changing paint, he's working on the same type of clear layer paint we're working on here. So the goal isn't try to find a polish or wax for green or purple paint, it's trying to find a polish or wax that works really good on any type of clear coat paint, because if it works good on the clear on black, yellow, or red, it's going to work good on his Mystic, and that's I think where I left him at that thread. Okay, let's go. Hey, John. I'm gonna hit this mirror real quick, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over and I want you to follow me. So I'm gonna go back in and use the rotary on the areas that I hit on the hood with the rotary. You come back behind me with the DA, and that'll just have an effect of making sure it leaves a nice uniform finish there. So 1 second, buddy. I'm gonna start over here and I'll go this way, so you follow me.
On that, you can do
No, this is the polishing. There's the weight of the machine, 5 pounds, is actually, look how far it pushed that pad down. So all I'm really doing is just steering this thing. And I just want to make sure I didn't leave any swirls in there from the aggressive cutting pad by repolishing with the polishing pad in the M205. And then I want you to follow me. What your tool is going to do is make sure that still the rotary is still not imparting a swirl, because you're using a tool that's changing the action of the tool. So that's why I wanted to make sure I went first and you follow me. Yeah, that's actually the key to using a rotary buffer, is making it look make it look easy. You don't want to make it look so simple a child could do it. I want to hit this mirror, V-pillar, top of that, a little bit there. You want to go grab one of those clean terry cloth towels?
Look at it over there. Come on now.
I just asked him to go get me a clean terry cloth towel. Yeah, really. Yeah, let my RPMs kind of get up there kind of high because I was trying to go faster. Really? Well, I am. I'm cleaning my pad often so that don't happen. Okay. Okay, 1 second, John. You can start polishing here.
Lift that baby up, huh?
Hold on, let me wipe that off. It's always a good idea to work clean.
That don't count as your day though. Trust me, I've never gotten that far. I've been there, but never did that.
Okay, buddy, all yours. Still got it. I was going to grab those areas I did with the rotary before, like around the squirter and around these, then he's going to follow me. Yeah, I'll do it real quick here. Unplug, can you hold that? Everything's like spaghetti on the floor, you know. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I removed all my compounding swirls before John over there started following me.
I'm over here. I'd rather do the high spots than the low spots.
No doubt. Okay, there you go, bud. Okay, I got that.
Comes up compared to the last product.
You use
Terry cloth to clean your pad the same way?
Yeah, same clean your pad on the fly technique.
been done?
I don't think so. Touchy trigger here too.
Yeah. Little poor cable triggers, huh? They have go and no go at the 5 and 6. Still a good tool, real dependable.
I love my tool. I don't use it anymore.
Where are we at on this side, Robert? This for door and fender?
I haven't done the A, B, and C pillar.
Okay.
The fender and door.
I'll get in here and get this. How's it looking, by the way, Brandon?
Very good, thank you.
Did you learn a couple things that help you with your technique today?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. That was kind of the goal.
I didn't do that yet. I did a
you end up here?
I got all this part now.
How about this?
Yep.
You got that? Okay. Well, then the A-pillar here and the window frame is knocked out. Man, that looks good, buddy. Thank you. Look how clear that is. Okay. Yeah. What's that? Okay. Okay, so you're getting the door. Has this fender been done? Okay.
Top end.
Okay, let me get a polisher here. Yeah, I'll use that one. I'll jump down here and get that.
205 should be right. I just cleaned it. I mean, I only did this one pass.
I'll clean it again. Since I got the towel in my hand, let's just show the world how that works, you know. I was watching.
Like that for one reason.
Yeah.
Because if I put my knuckles behind it on 6,
Yeah.
I can feel the heat I'm generating. And when I show somebody that, this is the same heat you're generating on the car.
That's a good little.
Now feel that towel.
That feels warm. Yeah. Hey, as long as you find a way to get the gunk off, that's the key thing. I think I've met people that have buffed out entire cars with one pad and never cleaned the pad once. And complained about how hard the product was to wipe off.
The guy brought me a car a couple of weeks ago, brand marquee.
Yeah.
He brought it to the car wash. He says, look at the detail job they did.
Put a joint down here, Brandon.
And that's exactly what they did. A dirty white pad. And then that's all.
Yeah, he's gonna judge. Yeah. You're gonna judge, right? Okay. Yeah. Yep. I got Steve Carlicki as a backup. Camaro Steve, yeah. Now his Camaro's gonna be in the show. As long as he doesn't pick himself to win. Yeah. Right. Yeah, wipes off real easy. You want to wipe that off and I'll just move down here? Can you hand me that 205 behind you?
Are you going to go around the front bumper while you're down there?
Thanks, sir.
Brandon said don't do this piece he's taking off when he gets home.
Yeah. Okay.
later.
Jeff said it's only good until he leaves.
It's only good till he leaves.
Jay.
Yeah, Jay says it's only good till the check is cashed.
Jay ball scratch.
That's a scratch.
Okay, where are we at? This side's knocked out, hood's knocked out.
The hood's knocked out, the whole roof is knocked out.
Hey, we're ready to seal the paint. Let's go ahead and de-tape. Oh,
Oh, we're not ready.
No, they're working on this side. I'll de-tape the top. I'll take the hood scoop and all these off because this has all been done. So
yep.
I'll de-tape the top.
Take a squirt.
Yeah, it's all right. You knock out that and I'll meet you halfway in the middle. Careful about not hitting that plastic too much. John, make sure you kind of hit this little pillar right there. I hit both those with the rotary buffer.
In fact, that's what I watched today. They had a show over in Palm City. They were talking about doing the bottom.
No, not the very bottom. They're gonna do some paint work on that in the future. So I actually didn't compound the very front of the bumper because I thought that was also included. If it's not, then guess what? Brandon knows how to polish paint now. Brandon can get that spot.
They started out being good store.
Wasn't it a green store or something?
No, it was a...
I don't know if you looked at this when we first started. This was all like hazy.
Yeah.
Now it's as clear as a ruby. Okay, looking.
Worth as much as a ruby.
Yeah. Hey. I'm a Chevy guy, but I'd take this Ford in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's what Tim said.
Yeah. Now I'd take the motor out and put a big block Chevy in it. What?
The purist would really hate you for that. See, I like all cars. I'm not a...
Yeah, you know what?
Yep.
Me too.
They always ask me that. What's your favorite car? And I really don't, couldn't say.
Oh yeah, I do too. When I first started teaching detailing classes, I kind of had my favorite cars, and then I was asked to teach a class for the Nash Metropolitan Club. Wow. And those cars are quirky looking is what I would say. And
small.
When I was teaching that, yeah, very small. When I was teaching that class, I just dawned on me how much passion these car owners had for their quirky little car, and it really sunk in that it doesn't really matter if I like the car or not. I'm there to show these guys how to make the paint look good. And ever since then, I just want to make it shiny. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, deep down inside, we're all Hemi Cuda guys.
Yeah.
1971.
Hey,
$1 million.
Hey, Tim, one of the guys that comes down here regularly, his name is Tommy Episcopo, and he just bought a 1970 Dodge 440 Cuda. So he's going to have it down here. Yeah, yeah. And
Before or after my car, I was.
supposed to be here this week. He's having it shipped here. I don't know where he bought it, but I saw some pictures of it. It's absolutely flawless. Except, I'm going to guess it has swirls in the paint.
These kids, my kids play ball.
Yeah.
Is that right, Nicole? Or Nikki?
Did text him.
That's close.
Oh, he's claiming
Pop the
that.
hood now.
Yeah, pop the hood and
The light.
want to grab that bottle of M205? Yeah.
Oh, they're not there? The ones that were there earlier are not there now?
Okay, so when you, let me see the light. Now, at this point here, this is the true results, and now we're just going to seal it up. Come up here and check this out, Brandon. Remember the swirls we saw there before, water spots?
Oh yeah.
Look at that. That looks good, dude. That is nice. Okay, up, up.
And away!
Hey, so this is factory here?
No.
Okay, and if the camera comes in, I covered this up with this microfiber towel. We put the cover-up towels in there too, and anytime you do this, you just want to make sure that when you close it, nothing's binding. But what this does is, well, I'll close the hood and I'll show you.
Using a wash bin?
Yeah, over there in the bin. But I don't know if Yancey can get up here, but up here we covered up the wiper arms, okay? So these have a nice matte black finish on them, plus they got all these grooves and intricate areas, and it's all this plastic down here. What I didn't want to do is I didn't want to get a bunch of polish and wax splatter down here, so it's easier to cover this up. We put the cover-up towels up here, not so much to protect the glass from any rotary buffer work, but he's got all these lettering up here, and if you get splatter up here, you have to come and wipe the splatter off. And when you wipe, you end up rubbing hard and you lift all these edges, and once those tips start to lift, it's over. You're never going to get them laid back down again. So just as a precaution, because I kind of like Brandon, he's a nice guy, we went ahead and covered that stuff up. We covered that up to protect it. And now look, how much wiping are we doing up here? None. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, so let's get M21. Polymer sealant is going on next. It's actually synthetic sealant. Okay, so
On my hand.
I know we're going to put this on my machine. So let's switch over to the soft blue finishing pads over there. Pad up. And I'm going to pull the safety seal off this. This is always that beautiful purple color.
Hey, Louie, change your pad, Lou. Louie, change your pad. On camera. Where's the pad? Do you know what he's in bucket?
Yancey, have you taken a sweep over here at our moderator tonight? Over here in the corner of the building is Nick. Sometimes at work I call him Sidekick Nick. Seems like me and him get stuck doing a lot of projects together, and he's a good sidekick. But Sidekick Nick's back here on a laptop moderating the forum.
Hello.
Nick said next time we do this, I get to sit back there and moderate, and he'll come out here and do the buffing. Okay, so we're going to put on the M21 Professional Synthetic Sealant. We're going to do this by machine. One of the reasons I like to do this by machine is, first, I like to do everything by machine and totally get my hand out of the entire process, because with your hand, a lot of times you got pressure points. We have for the most part, a flawless finish right now, so we don't want to put any marring back in. So I like to let the machine do all the work. But the other reason, you notice we de-taped it, so now we're going to take and we're going to machine apply the wax carefully, and if there's any residue from the tape lines, usually the machine kind of oscillating with the wax, whatever wax you're using, or paint sealant, is enough cleaning action to remove that residue, kind of pulls it into the whole mix, then you wipe it off when you wipe the wax off. You could say it's the lazy guy's way to do it, and that's the way I like to do it. You can find your own way if you don't like that way. But yeah, so anyway, M21 synthetic sealant. This has been sitting on a shelf, so the first thing I want to do is I want to take and shake this up really well. You always want to have a uniform, consistent appearance to any time you're using a liquid wax or a liquid paint sealant. Now this stuff, I think if I remember correctly, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. You want to let it dry to a haze before you wipe it off. So guys, let's get this thing machine waxed, and then let's let it sit and dry for 10 minutes. Then we'll go ahead and we'll wipe it off. We'll break out the microfiber gloves and the green microfiber towels for that. Everybody got their buffers? Their DA polishers? Okay. So since John is new, I'm going to give John a real quick lesson. because this is just a little bit different than removing defects. Okay, so this is the Meguiar's G110. He's done a good job of putting the pad on so it's centered. Okay, and if you want to, you know, these are new pads, or some of these have been washed by me. You can always just run a brush over them, blow it with air. At this point, anything that touches this paint has to be completely surgically clean. So next thing we're going to do, John, is we're just going to take and put some of this right onto the pad. Okay. And since this pad is brand new, I'm just going to go ahead and spread this around. That way the entire face of the pad is lubricated, it's dampened with liquid synthetic sealant. I'm going to put a little bit more on. And for this, the most important thing you just got to remember is turn your speed down. Okay, so that was on 5. I'm going to bump this down to 4. And before, we were always working small sections at a time. Well, that's because these tools are so safe, you don't want to try to tackle a huge area at one time. But when we get to this point, you can tackle as big an area as you can reach, and as long as you see wax coming off the pad and coating on the surface. The idea is lay down a thin, uniform coat and then let it dry. And a little technique as you're going to make sure you're still using wax is you can always kind of dab this onto glass, okay? And it'll tell you if there's any wax on there because you can see it against the glass. A lot of times you can't see it on the paint. But anyway, so John, this would look like this. Again, cord over shoulder. Don't turn it on until it's in contact with the paint. And then you want to make 2 or 3 passes over each square inch. So I went over that section once. This is the second time. I'm going to follow along here. Here's a third time. And what I'm trying to do is I just want to make sure that I've pushed the synthetic paint sealant here into all the microscopic pores, surface imperfections, excuse me, what I call interstices, which is microscopic cracks and fissures. And then again, just you can tackle as big as areas you want as long as you still see you have wax. So watch this. I'm not going to let this thing sit in the air for a long time, but watch. Can you see the wax? Okay. I still have plenty of wax on here, so I'm just going to keep on moving around the car. Actually, I'm going to let you keep moving around the car. I already know how to do this.
So we can do this relatively
quickly. Yes, yeah. And what's cool about the DA polishers, if you got a strong grip at all, you can stand up and hit the vertical sides without having to sit down. Okay, so that's what's nice about the DA polishers. Yep, we're using the number 21 there.
And we're going to soak it.
Yep. And yeah, go ahead and prime it so the entire face is wet. It doesn't take a lot, and then put a little bit of wax on it. But that way you're not bringing down a dry pad, even though it's soft, on a flawlessly polished paint under pressure spinning. And do remember to try to keep the pad flat. So. Pardon me, sir?
It doesn't really matter on sealant. As long as the pads, it doesn't even have to turn.
Well, I just try to show every little anal technique I can, because some people want to know.
Sealants, you're not on,
yeah.
not doing it right on polishing stuff either.
Yeah. Anytime you're, and I know you already know this, I'm just kind of talking out loud, but everybody brings their own unique way of detailing a car. What I try to show everybody is everything they can do, and then they can pick and choose from that what they want to do. So like little things like dabbing the pad on the glass, they don't got to do that. They just add more wax if they want to.
Well, when I use 845, I do, because I put it on so thin I don't even know if it's on.
Yeah, and that's important to put that wax on thin because it's a bear to wipe off.
It sure is.
If you get too much on.
Off isn't a problem. It's continually wiping it off, which bleeds back out.
Okay, well, hey, hand us that wax and tell you what, I'll get this, Robert. We'll take a break.
I'm just looking for spots that maybe there's compound left in the cracks where the tape was and whatnot. 2 or 3, very light, no question.
Oh, by all means, Louie. Everybody?
2 or 3 on the
okay.
light pressure, no pressure at all. Just spread it. That should be enough.
Remember, turn your speed down.
2 or 3.
Yeah, on the Griot's Garage, 3 or 4 maybe. I like to see the pad rotating. Okay, that's the 4. There we go.
Yeah.
And again, 2 or 3 passes over each square inch. I'll take a little bit. Beautiful. Hey, this is also a place where you can use this technique called kissing the finish. And what that means is you put a little bit of wax on your pad, and you touch it down in a few places to spread it out. Then as you're buffing and you come up to that spot, keep your pad in contact, but tilt it a little bit, pick up that product and spread it around. Anyway, I cover that in my how-to book, and it's called Kissing the Finish. And again, it's actually kind of the lazy man's way of putting wax on. I'm not lazy, but I like techniques that are fast but effective. I got most of the door except for right here in the very, very bottom. Okay, so I started on part of the fender, the scoop, that door, the mirror, side of this fender. I still have wax.
Well, good here, huh?
I went down, I think right underneath there and then back up to the front, we're done.
We did the whole front bumper except that lower piece.
Yeah, and that's a nice thin uniform coat right there. Okay, I think we can put the extension cords away.
All the chemical up there, so you
saw that?
I got to do this little piece. Did you do the bottom of this door? I know I got to do it from here. You do this?
Yep. It used. You're good. Nope. Put it in the dirty towel bin over here. Hey Robert, why don't you take that Meguiar's G110 up there and show everybody how you wrap a cord? Yeah, Robert is an expert at wrapping cords up on tools. And if I thought I could do it better, I'd show you, but man, he's really good at it. So my job is to showcase products, people, and that's right, and cars. And if someone's good at something, it's a good idea just to recognize them. Hold on, I want to have Robert wrap that. I want to unwrap that. He's going to do it on video. You did a great job though. That's how Robert does it too. I didn't know you knew how to do that. I'd have you do it. But I was going to have you do the Meguiar's one since it's the Meguiar's products. There you go. Keeping with the theme here. Yeah, we'll have Yancey come over here in a second and snag it.
You'll be out of here.
As long as you get along.
This is my cord cart. Okay, he's going to show how to wrap a cord on a tool there. Let me go over here so he can talk and everybody can hear it.
This is the proper technique of wrapping a cord on a tool. Once around the head.
And what's that for?
That's to keep the cord nice and tight, gives you a chance to wrap it and keep it nice and even.
Exactly.
Wrapping it around the body, keep the wraps nice and tight to each other so you fit the whole wire. And this isn't for those 22-foot cords, it's for the short cords.
Yeah. The long cords are nice, but there's just not enough room to wrap them neatly on a tool.
And that's it.
And then pull through the tail there.
A finished pull through the tail, and this is how your Meguiar's G110 looks and ready to be put up on the shelf.
Good job, bud.
And I'll wax it if you like.
Okay.
Lessons come to impressions.
So, Lowe's gas station.
Okay, so we're just letting this dry a few seconds. We're going to do what we call the swipe test here in about 2 or 3 minutes as soon as I put this stuff away. Hey guys, here's a technique I wanted to share. It's really simple. It's not even that big deal. But most of my life when I detailed cars professionally, by the time I'm done buffing out a car, doing all the grunt work, when it's time to put the wax on, I like to go first just wash my hands. Now, I didn't do it now because we're busy, but normally that's what I would do. Once the polish, everything's done, it's time to put the wax on, I like to get myself cleaned up, okay? But your hands get pretty grimy. But before we wipe the wax off, let's take a minute for everybody just to go wash their hands, because it's all about working clean when you're creating a show car finish. The facilities are that way, so let's... Yeah, well, take your time, but just we're letting this dry here is all. So
When I cook, I wash my hands continuously.
there you go. Now I'll get out all the microfibers and the microfiber gloves here. Then Yancey, we're going to show how to do the swipe test. We're going to get a tight shot on that. And we can go ahead and pull the wheel maskers off. Wheel maskers all go on the back of the creep stool over here.
You sell those wheel masters?
No, I asked about that because I find them real handy for both A, covering up the wheels, and B, marketing. It shows what a professional you are when you cover up the wheels and tires. The whole look, the car taped off, the wheel maskers on, the windshield covered up. I mean, someone sees you working on a Bentley or a Corvette or a Ford Fusion, at least they know you're doing a professional job.
Well, I think some of those would, what's his name? The guy in the float? What's his name, the guy in the float?
Oh, Ivan.
Ivan. Put him on them things, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, put a little logo on there.
Ivan.
Yep. Okay. Now I have to, hey, can you grab this and coil this up and put that back there so it's not a trip hazard? How we doing, guys?
We'll buff and pass.
There's actually soap and water on the other side of the fence here too.
Oh, there's soap in here.
Okay. Okay, this is the fun part.
Not for tire dressing.
He uses a product, and I was just gonna let him finish up on his own. Yeah, we'll just take care of the paint on this show. Let's see. Okay, guys.
Everybody's left, Michael.
Everybody's left. Well, Cam, I'm just going to put a, I'm not in the picture there, but all I've done here, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just going to put a, this is actually a guzzler down here. There we go. Let's put a guzzler down here because the whole idea, a lot of things I teach on the forum classes, work clean. This thing gets dirty. Of course, it's a work stand. But so I just put a clean microfiber towel on top of it. Here's the microfiber gloves. Come over here. These are the green Ultra Plush rolled edge microfiber towels. We go over this each time, but if you notice, look how I fold them. The flat weave side is out. That helps to protect the fluffy side on the inside of it, so unfold them. And then always, I try to inspect these as I do the laundry. If you see anything at all that looks like it might mar or scratch the paint, pick it off. If you can't pick it off, don't use it. Okay, so now how this works is microfiber gloves. Believe it or not, this looks really silly. These actually give you grip strength over the microfiber towel. And it just makes it easier to hold the towel as you're wiping off the wax. Plus, if you ever touch the paint, you don't leave fingerprints anywhere. So what we're going to do now is called the swipe test. Where do you need me to get in here, Yancy? Right up here? Okay, so the swipe test is you take your clean finger. Remember, I just went and washed my hand. And you want to give a brisk swipe. Where would it work best for you? Right there? Okay. So you want to give it a brisk, so it's not slow, it's a brisk swipe. And where I swipe, it should be clear. If it's clear and glossy, that means the wax, or in this case, the paint sealant is dry, it's ready to wipe off. If it looks all smeary and streaky, that means it's still wet. You need to allow some more time for it to dry before you remove it. Okay, so the swipe test, how's it look, guys? Clear and glossy?
Perfect.
Okay, so grab your microfiber gloves, inspect your towels. I already inspected this one, so it's mine. And then here's another little technique. This is called breaking open the wax. So send to the side just a little bit so Yancy come in here. Let me just explain this real quickly. Big picture, you just detailed your car, somebody else's car. If you think about it, the entire car is coated with a uniform coating of wax. Your job at this point is to remove it without putting a scratch back in. So the way you do this, you got this uniform layer over the entire car, lay your microfiber towel down, and then just gently twist it, okay? Pull away. Now there's a shiny spot there. The shiny spot is where the wax is now gone. Now I flip my microfiber towel, put it back on there, and then just start taking gentle, small, overlapping bites. Just like that. And any wax is easy to wipe off. You're being gentle to the paint, turn often, and I call this creeping out from the shiny spot. When I say creeping out, Robert, I don't mean get weird on me. I mean move out from the shiny spot, and you can do that on each panel. But that's a technique you can use. If you got your own, use it, but that's what I use when I wipe off wax on a show car. I break open the wax, create a shiny spot, and then creep out.
Good wax and lubricant, like that.
When you say that, it creeps me out.
Hey.
This one was dirty. But they all picked out.
Yeah, well, and one of the things I try to do here is I try to take good care of our towels, you know.
Oh, you do?
There's an investment in these, and we use them over and over again. I only wash like towels with like towels using microfiber detergent.
Really? Is the detergent specific?
Yeah, there's a specific detergent for microfibers. Keeps the fibers from getting all crunchy.
Where'd you get that?
And they don't lose their color. Like, look how beautiful, these have probably been used, I don't know, ever since we've been doing these extreme makeovers, we've been using these towels. And I keep them all folded and flat inside here and clean. Well, Autogeek.net, of course.
How silly of us not to know that.
What's different about the microfiber detergent?
There's no dyes, there's no scents in it. It's made specifically for removing or releasing, breaking up emulsifying compounds and polishes, waxes, and it won't make the fibers all stiff and what I always call crinkly. It keeps them soft and plush, and that's what you want. You want a nice soft microfiber towel. I mean, look at this finish, it's flawless. You don't want to take your towels that you spend a whole lot of money on and then destroy them through improper washing techniques.
And what about drying techniques, Mike?
Well, you know, I always just throw them in the dryer and turn the button on. And when they come out, they're dry, and that's how I use them. Yeah, it's just about as professional you get. You know, because someone says don't get them too hot, because these are made out of polyester, and it's called polyamide. Yeah.
And because when I wash mine, I give them about 10 minutes in the dryer, and then I take them out and hang them.
Oh.
And they air dry. And I keep them, it stays nice and soft.
Yeah, and I think there's probably that's probably works for you, but you know, the whole time I was at Meguiar's, you know, I was there for 11 years. I taught all their classes there from 2002 to 2009, and we just threw them in the washer and then the dryer and fold them, use away, and we work on a lot of high dollar cars. They all come out looking good. We work on a lot of high dollar cars here with that same washing drying technique. They all come out looking good, and you can make washing and drying your microfiber towels as complicated or as easy as you want. I prefer to throw them in the dryer until they're dry and fold them and put them away. I think their thing is if I told Max I was going to string a clothesline out here and let damp microfibers hang to dry, Max should probably find me a new place to work.
No, Max. Don't do that.
So
You'll be out here.
We need Mike here.
Okay, I got this front part. That's all I got. How we doing? Need to get that windshield there. Okay.
That was pretty neat, just leaving it there.
Tell you what, even though it's a Ford, it's looking good.
Brandon, I think he's calling you out on the mat there.
Yeah. Chevrolet, GM. Yeah. But that's okay.
Hey, you know what?
I'll tell you what,
today.
this paint has come out beautifully.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. Compared to the way it was.
You'll never go to Ford again.
That looks good.
Or Chevy.
Autogeek online.
Okay, and when you're done with those we've got everything wiped off, let's go ahead and place those microfiber towels up here so they don't mix with the rest of those compound and polished towels in the bin over there.
Those common towels, right?
The common towels, yeah. Okay, then the next thing I wanted to show was using a traditional carnauba wax over the top of the sealant. Now, the big question on this is, don't you need to let this polymer sealant, the synthetic sealant, completely set up and dry before you put the wax on? The answer is yes. Most car wax companies would recommend a window of time between 12 and 24 hours, so whatever the protection ingredients are can do their little magic bonding, and you're not going to go in and, the word is, disrupt them by applying something smooth and creamy or liquid over it and possibly just taking them right back off again. So we're not going to do the entire car. I'm just going to do the hood, then we'll wipe it off. But here's the whole thing about topping. By topping, I mean putting a carnauba wax over a synthetic sealant. And I have an article about this. Someone got a quarter? Who's got a quarter? All these Meguiar's cans have the secret slot. They've been doing this since 19... No, I want a quarter. I got an article on this too. It's called the secret slot. Okay, so you take the quarter and you look on the side of the can. So you don't get on the forum. You don't have any articles I got. I got an article for everything. There's a secret slot there, and you shove the quarter in there, then you twist it, and that's how you get the lid off. Okay, There, here's your quarterback.
I wish I had a quarter.
Put that lid back over there. Okay. Now the thing my article says about topping is before you put your secondary product over the entire car, test it out to one small area, wipe it off, and make sure it's actually making the paint look better. It's possible your second choice for product could make it look duller, okay, if it has any kind of abrasives or strong solvents as carrying agents. And you wouldn't know if you applied it to the entire car and wiped it off because you wouldn't be able to see the change. If you take and apply it to one small area, let it dry, wipe off, and it looks as good or better, that's how the rest of the car will look. So that's how you top a car. You test your secondary product first. Looks good, then do the whole car. If it doesn't, hey, aren't you glad you only did it to a small spot? Now this is a brand new can of wax. Smell that. Oh, it smells good, doesn't it? It smells like bananas. And when you have a brand new can of wax like this, what you want to do is, this is the included applicator pad, and you either want to make swipes like this or do what I do and just come down here and spin this really fast, and as I'm doing that I'm turning the can, okay? And what that does is that little bit of friction liquefies the wax, and now truly a paste wax becomes a liquid when it's used correctly. Then just bring it down. You just want to gently apply this. And what I always show people is that you can apply in circles or straight lines. If the product you're using is non-abrasive, it doesn't matter. Okay, now there is a school of thought that says apply waxes in straight lines going the direction the direction that the wind would pass over the car if you were driving over the car, so you'd go in straight lines like this. Perfectly acceptable. I got a video that shows that. But as long as the product you're using is non-abrasive, it really shouldn't matter which way you move your hand. And what I find is it's actually easier to spread a product out using an overlapping circular motion, because here's why. I have some wax here. If I put it down here, if I try to spread this out in straight lines, look, it doesn't work that good. If I start spreading out like this, as I bring this back around to where I started, I pick up that glob of wax and I can easily spread it out. So it's just a little bit easier to spread a product out using overlapping circular motions. Okay, I don't need to test this because I've used this a lot in my life. This is a very clear wax. The chemist at Meguiar's actually told me this is the only wax that was formulated to bend light into itself. And by bending light, if you go up and you look at the album cover Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, and it shows the light going into the crystal and the prism and it bends it and shows up as a rainbow, that's what he meant. It bends light. It's really hard to bend light. And what they did is somehow they figured out a way to make this bend light. And what that does is when the light hits it, instead of bouncing it back in your eyes, creating haze, is it bends it into the paint and you see a deep dark reflection, and that's what you want. So a little tidbit there shared with me by one of the chemists there at Meguiar's. I'd give you his name, but then he'd probably kill me.
Like some products require you put on very thin, this one.
Yeah, but I'm going really fast here so we can wrap this up, so I'm not really focused too much on getting it thin. But here's why you want to put a thin coat on. Thin coat, first of all, thick coat just wastes product, makes wipe off difficult. So you want to put a thin coat on just to make wipe off easy and so you don't waste product. But again, it kind of goes back to that old philosophy of if a little's good, more is better. That's true of my bank account and my gas tank. But it's not true in putting a wax on a car, especially a finishing wax. You know, this actually is true to use a lot of wax on a car? Take a guess. I know you know this.
When is it okay to use?
Yeah, when is it okay to use a lot of wax on a car? If you're working on a neglected, if you're working on a neglected finish with a cleaner wax. Yeah, if the finish is neglected, you want plenty of wax because you want the chemical cleaners. If there's abrasives, you want the abrasives. You want lots of product down there going to work cleaning the paint. It's only when you're using what I call a finishing wax or a show car wax. That's something like this. There's no cleaners in here. This can only be applied to a finish in perfect condition like we have here. So when you're using a finishing wax or a show car wax, then you only want to put down a thin coat. Okay. Okay, now this here is also a wax that you want to let dry before you wipe it off. It's got some on that trim. Can someone wipe that off? This is, you know, a lot of people ask me why I like to work on classic cars. The reason why is because classic cars don't have any plastic trim that you have to be careful about. Like that, see? And the whole idea is to go slower so you don't make those kinds of mistakes or wipe it off immediately. But if you work on a classic car like that 1965 Mustang that's out there, all the trim is chrome or stainless steel. It doesn't matter if you get wax on it, it's going to do nothing but make it look good and wipe off easy. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. Then we'll do the swipe test again, and then we'll wipe it off. Who can I get to wipe this off? How about Brandon? Come up here, it's your car. Well, it's Brandon's car. This is the fun part.
Use the same towel or the
Yeah, just
sealant?
fold it to a new side.
Yeah, but he's paying us to do this one.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't know? He didn't know?
Here's my
Hey, we already did that. We already got that good enough.
Yeah, but
I see that. But I love your enthusiasm and passion, Tim.
yes.
Is your car out there?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's raining.
Yeah, that's right. Well, John drove his 65 Mustang in case it might rain. Okay, so we're going to call this good enough. Same thing, come down and do the swipe test. If it's clear and glossy, and it is, where I just wiped, it's clear and glossy. Can you see that right there? I'll do it again. Watch this. See that? It's clear and glossy. It's ready to wipe off. Again, you want to just come down, break open a spot, and then creep out from there. But again, you would do this about 12 hours after you wiped off, 12 to 24 hours after you wiped off the M21. In my life, detailing cars, I never did that because a lot of times I work on someone's special interest car. I'm driving from my house to their house. Sometimes it's 100 or more miles, or you're flying into their place, and you don't have the liberty to wait a day to put the wax on. So I let it sit on there for about 30 minutes. I let about 30 minutes go by after I wipe off the sealant, do something else, clean up, then I put the wax on, wipe it off. That's as good as it gets, you know. If you have the luxury of time that you can hang around and come back and put that second coat on the next day, then go ahead and do it. And actually, kind of on that topic, you don't have to use two different waxes. I just wanted to share that with you tonight on this car. It's called topping. Most of the time nowadays, if I wax a car, I just do a really good job of putting one coat on. And if you want to, put two coats on of the same wax, and that ensures uniform coverage, uniform appearance. Brandon, what do you think?
Very nice.
A lot of people really like the M26 for reds. Colors in the red family. Okay, this is where it's good to have a second set of eyes. So when I look at this, it looks like I got every little spot. Can someone else come up here and take a gander?
He's going to get 2 miles per gallon more going back to Brian.
Okay, see anything? Any missed spots? Yancey, it's all yours. Want to come in and get the beauty shots? Everybody in the corner?
If you're getting a beauty shot, Louie got to get out of the picture.
Hey now, hey, yeah, everybody come over here. Just let me out. Remember guys, when this car came here, it looked pretty good, didn't it?
I was just telling you.
It looked pretty good. Didn't look too bad. Had light swirls and scratches, had some water spots here and there. Now look at it. The paint literally is glowing. It is so wet looking.
Look at it on TV.
Yeah, look at it on TV. Look at this.
You can tell. I mean, forget looking at it in person. We've been looking at it all night. It just looks like another red car. Look at Ivan.
Well, the good news is, it looks beautiful. The bad news is, Brandon,
It's $600.
$600. Now you got to keep it this way. And one of the things Brandon wanted to do when he came here is learn some techniques for machine polishing. Do you feel a little more confident in your techniques now?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. So now you can not only keep your cars up, but your buddies in the Mustang Club, you could show them how to get these same results, couldn't you?
I can.
There you go.
You need practice. 10,000 hours makes you a perfectionist, so come on over and give me a hand.
10,000 hours.
How many hours you been doing this, Mike?
I'm like most guys. I think most guys that detail cars for money started just like me. You're 6 or 7 years old, and you're out there in the garage working on mom and dad's car, you don't even know what you're doing. So if you want to go back to then, I think the first time I actually was paid to detail a car would be sometime in high school. You know, back using some really old school stuff.
I was 13 using classic car wash, Carlax, and blue coral. Oh,
Yeah.
You guys come up this way, or this so if he pans up.
multi-step.
That's one.
Man, that looks good. And hey, remember, this was John's first time with the DA on the hood, wasn't it? How's the hood look?
Did a good job.
Did a good job.
Everybody was good.
Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Come on in, guys. Take a bow. Hey. Yeah, look at this. This actually looks beautiful. But hey, I'd like to thank everybody that came down and give us a hand here at Autogeek. You want us over in the front of the car? Is this good? Okay, come on over here, guys, so we can get in the camera. And I want to get a shot, everybody. But I'd like to thank all my friends here. We got Tim, guy who owns a 57 Chevy, wants to bring it down here real bad. I'm thinking about it. We got Robert DiTrelizzi. Took me about 2 years to figure out how to say his last name. Professional detailer, Impressions Detailing. We have John, I forget your last name?
Knobloch.
I'll go at that. And he's got a 65 Mustang GT up there. He wants to bring his car in here and have the same thing we did to this car done to his car, so we might see it back here. Of course, Brandon, the guy that owns the car, thank you for trusting Autogeek with your car. I'd like to have how about a round of applause for Yancey over here, doing all the spectacular camera work. How about Nick, sidekick Nick over here, the moderator. And give yourselves a round of applause. Yay! And we'd like to thank the good people at Meguiar's for making quality products. I think the results here speak for themselves. And I think that's it for this car. In 2 weeks, I have a black Dodge Challenger coming in. It's a 2012 brand new car. I've heard it's already got swirls and scratches. We just had a 2012 black Camaro. Everybody thinks a brand new car should look great. The black Camaro, if you see the video, it looked horrible when we started. When it left here, it looked like this. So check back in 2 weeks, and we'll see you on the forum. Make sure if you need any of your detailing supplies, check out autogeek.net. And if you're not a member of our forum, then get up there and join. That's autogeekonline.net. Become a member. That's where I post articles, answer your questions. We'll see you on the forum. Okay.